Hanbi, the shadow before dawn. Long before kings carved their names into stone, before cities rose from river mud, before even the first whisper of gods filled the air, there was Hanbi, the silent one, the hidden one, father of the monstrous Pazuzu, and keeper of every shadow the world wished to forget. Most gods announced themselves with storms, earthquakes, or fire. Hanbi arrived only when light turned uncertain, that strange moment when the torch flickers for no reason and the hairs rise on the back of one's neck. His domain was not chaos, but the unspoken, the uneasy, the dark spaces between truths. And though his presence was feared, it was also necessary. For without shadow, mortals would never recognize the blessing of dawn. When the heavens and earth were still young, the great gods shaped the world with light. Enlil scattered the winds, Enki carved rivers into the dust, and Ningal crowned the night with stars. Yet as their radiance expanded, something stirred on the edges, something that could not bear the brightness. From the cast-off corners of creation, from the fear mortals had yet to feel, Hanbi formed himself. He emerged like smoke, curling from a place no fire burned, shaped not from divine will, but from the inevitable truth that light must cast shadows. The gods noticed him only when his presence stretched long behind them. "He is formless," said Utu, god of the sun. "He is necessary," murmured Nana, god of the moon. "He is dangerous," warned Enlil, whose winds recoiled from Hanbi's stillness. But Hanbi spoke not a word. He only bowed his head, as if acknowledging that their world, even their fear, was part of his existence. In time, mortals populated the cities of Ur, Kish, and Lagash. They feared the things they could not name, the illness that crept in the dark, the nightmares that stole their sleep, the unease that slithered beneath their thoughts. The gods argued over this growing dread. Enlil demanded Hanbi be exiled to the void. Enki suggested turning him into a guardian, but Nana proposed a pact. "Light and darkness must agree," she said, "or mortals will be consumed by both." Thus, the gods offered Hanbi a place not as ruler, but as balance. In return, he would keep the darkest things contained, spirits that claw at sanity, curses that rot the heart, shadows that hunger for form. Hanbi accepted, disappearing into the deep places of the earth, binding wickedness to his silent will. And for a time, the world was safe. But even darkness has lineage. Where the winds shrieked over deserts and the air shimmered with unseen fire, Hanbi shaped a child, Pazuzu, the storm demon. His body was carved of sandstorm fury, his eyes glowing with the chaotic power Hanbi himself refused to wield. The great gods trembled. "He will destroy all," warned Enlil. But Hanbi stepped forward, not with threat, but stillness. "My son is born of storm," he said, speaking for the first time. His voice was like a door creaking in an abandoned temple. Storms destroy, but they also protect. They break, but they also cleanse. The gods did not understand him. Pazuzu raged like a wounded hurricane, screaming through the desert skies, feared by mortals everywhere. Yet Hanbi alone could stand before him, placing a hand of shadow upon his son's raging brow. And Pazuzu knelt, for in his chaos lay loyalty to the father who did not fear him. 4. The plague of unnamed terror. Centuries later, a darkness rose that even Hanbi had not expected. Deep beneath the ruins of a forgotten city, something wriggled free, a creature not born of him, nor shaped by gods, but forged from mortals' own festering fears. It had no name, because humanity had not yet dared give one. It fed upon whispers, on doubts, on the dread that grows when truth is avoided. Each night, it slithered from crack to crack, growing stronger, its form twisting into whatever mortals feared most. People called it the crawling misgiving. It was not Hanbi's creation, yet it was certainly his responsibility. The gods demanded he reclaim the beast. "You are the keeper of shadows," Utu said. "This thing thrives in the dark you govern." Hanbi descended alone into the chasm where the creature hid. The walls pulsed like a beating heart. The creature sensed him and hissed. "You are not my maker," it rasped in a dozen stolen voices. "You cannot bind me." Hanbi's answer was silence. He opened his hand, and all the shadows of the world bent toward him, like reeds bowing to wind. The creature tried to escape, but it could not flee from darkness itself. Hanbi wrapped it in strands of pure shadow, binding it tighter and tighter until it became no more than a whisper trapped in his grasp. But when he turned to carry it back to the depths, he realized he was growing weaker. For this creature was no divine thing. It was human fear, and fear had grown powerful, too powerful. As Hanbi struggled, the shadows around him flickered. The beast thrashed, invisible yet heavy, feeding on the fear of every mortal who wondered what lurked in the dark. Hanbi could contain God's cast-off evils, but the fears of humankind were endless. And so, he made a choice. He whispered to the shadows, his only companions, and they wrapped around him like a shroud. He allowed the creature to merge into him, let it tear at him, gnaw at him, devour parts of what he was. But he did not release it, for if he did, the world would drown in its own terrors. The ground trembled, mountains shuddered, even the great river Euphrates rippled backward for a moment. Then, silence. Hanbi had imprisoned the creature within himself, becoming heavier, darker, more feared. Mortals would sense his presence more keenly now, shivering in moments when nothing seemed wrong, except the feeling that something unseen was watching. Yet evil remained contained. The gods understood what he had done. They bowed their heads, not in worship, but in acknowledgement. Hanbi returned to the world's deep places, weaker, yet immeasurably stronger in purpose. To this day, when a room grows cold for no reason, when a torch sputters without wind, when someone wakes from a nightmare but cannot remember it, Hanbi is near, carrying the weight of every unspoken fear. Mortals pray to bright gods for protection, but it is often Hanbi who guards them from the creatures that thrive on dread. He is the shadow that restrains deeper shadows, the fear that warns of danger, the silence that precedes dawn. Few speak his name, fewer understand his burden, but somewhere in the deep caverns beneath the world, Hanbi sits in stillness, holding darkness together so that light may continue to exist. And when Pazuzu's storms howl across the desert, they echo with respect, not rage, for the father who taught even shadows to kneel.